Councilman O'Neill,
Here.
Councilman Lewandowski.
Here.
Councilman Fazio.
Here.
Councilman Niles.
Here.
Supervisor Molino.
Here.
Okay, then
Clerk will read the correspondence.
I have, Mr. Niles's resignation letter from the Zoning Board of Appeals effective December 31st, 2021. And a letter from the Zoning Board of Appeals in support of appointing Matthew Palich as the new chairman of the ZBA. And no.
No, no. All right, we'll turn it over to Lori to start reading off our resolution.
We have to do the ceremonial swearing.
Oh, we'll do that. We can do that. That's right.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Sorry, could you hold the Bible? I'd like to do everybody separate except for the councilman, if they would do it all at one time. Fair?
Sure.
Raise your right hand. Put your hand on the Bible. I, Eugene Marino,
I, Eugene Marino,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of supervisor
I will faithfully discharge the duty of supervisor
according to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
You want me to come to you? Okay, that's fine. We'll skip the standing part too.
I can stand there. For a few seconds.
I, Cynthia Sherwood,
I, Cynthia Sherwood,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of town clerk and tax collector
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of town clerk, tax collector,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Ron's not here. No. Okay. So whenever he's, just let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Fazio. And Mr. O'Neill. Or you just stand there and I can get where they stand between you to put the Bible.
This ain't no fun. I feel like I'm out of lunch here.
Well, step up.
I'm the only one that doesn't get.
I'll re-swear you in, if you'd like. We ready? I state your names.
I, James Miles,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of councilman
I will faithfully discharge the duties of councilman
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, you do the
Thank
sign
you,
book.
Fred.
Okay, Fred, I'll take those. Thank you.
When you get them done, I'll sign every one of them. Thanks.
Mike, you're gonna
Thanks,
sign
Fred.
right
My pleasure.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, you have another one.
Nope. In 2 years, you get to do it again.
Let's go with happier.
Sign the book too. We have to send
Yeah.
this to the county.
For everything.
Yeah.
So,
Good chicken
oh my- Wait, you're gonna sign there. Yep. Oh, put your name, please. I'm sorry.
Where?
Oh, on this one.
We got print underneath it.
Yeah, because your signatures
Those
are,
are gonna be filed in the Warren County.
they like you to print. You don't have to on ours. All right, and then, let's see. we have- it's not here. Okay, Jim, you can sign here. And you don't have to print on it. And Dave, right here.
All set?
Thank you.
Would you like me to sign them?
I have to notarize them,
Oh, okay.
so
I
I
don't
guess we're good, right, Cindy?
I don't need to sign them?
When they sign the book, they're signing it in front of the notary public. So,
Okay.
All right.
So I guess we're set.
All right, thank you.
Fred. Happy New Year.
Congratulations all.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, Fred. Happy New
You
Year.
too.
Okay.
That's getting head Fred, my mother used to call
Okay, so on with the resolution.
Go ahead, start on resolution number 1.
Okay.
2022.
Resolution number 1 of 2022. To hold the agenda meeting of the town board on the last Monday of each month at 6 p.m. The regular meeting, the second Monday of the month at 7 p.m. The official newspaper for legal notices will be the Post Star. The designated depository for the town funds will be Glens Falls National Bank. And the designated polling place for all districts will be the Lake Luzerne Complex at 539 Lake Avenue. Who wants to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second,
All in favor?
can we have discussion?
Oh,
I think we should do it at 7, so that way all of our board can participate. Dave works for himself, and I don't think he has to realize the stress every month of trying to get here at 6 o'clock. If everybody's in agreement, I'd like to see it at 7.
the agenda meeting.
Correct.
If we can, as long as it's not gonna screw up everybody else's schedule. I'm fine with that.
Appreciate that.
I'm fine with that.
All right, so
Okay.
7 o'clock.
Thank you.
So Niles and Fazio, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 2 of 2022, that the following appointments be made and salaries be set. Water superintendent for all districts, Ron Dual, at $20,909. Water collector, all districts, Cynthia Sherwood, $18,540. Deputy collector of all districts, Lori Holcomb, at $15,450. Water purification and weekend water, I don't have any information on that for you guys.
We'll discuss it at the agenda meeting
okay.
Monday.
Karen Putney, health officer, septic inspector at $22,060. Karen Putney as zoning officer, $18,540. Steve Bouchard as the meal site cook, $23,400. And Barb Mitchell as a senior recreation assistant at $28,735.
Make a motion. Accept. Yeah.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Call roll.
Councilman O'Neill,
Aye.
Councilman Lewandowski,
Aye.
Councilman Fazio,
Aye.
Councilman Niles,
Aye.
Supervisor Molino.
Aye.
Resolution 3 of 2022, resolved upon I'm sorry, I don't need to read all that. The following appointments be made and budgeted salaries be set. Cynthia Sherwood Registrar, $3,000. Cynthia Sherwood Records Management Officer, $0. Cynthia Sherwood FOIL Officer, $0. Eugene Merlino FOIL Appeals Officer, 0. Pam Moran, Historian, 3,605. Melissa Janier, Sole Assessor at 27,810. Colleen Cook, the Bookkeeper Secretary to the Supervisor, 46,350. And Eugene Merlino, Budget Officer, 4,000. We don't have a Deputy Supervisor, but there's an allotment of 1,854 on that. Deputy Town Clerk, Tax Collector, and Deputy Registrar for the appointment of the Town Clerk, Lori Holcomb, $35,020. And the Deputy Highway Superintendent and Deputy Water Superintendent for Highway Superintendent appointment, Logan Brooks at $51,50.
Get a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Questions?
All in favor?
Hold on. Budget office. Can we discuss that for a minute?
Right.
It's my understanding that we pretty much used a consultant this past year to do that. The former bookkeeper.
Linda, yeah.
Shouldn't the bulk, if not all, that go to her, the consultant or a different consultant.
No, I don't think so. When she worked for me, when she was there, I used to pay her to help get it started for me, to do the numbers. We didn't use it as a consultant, we worked together.
As a new board member, kind of an outsider coming in, I find it hard to figure out what's what. So I'm kind of hoping we can maybe find somebody to do a little bit different job. Maybe still use one to help us, but I don't know if the other board members feel that way or not. If we're gonna use somebody, I mean, my outlook is that Colleen should be doing it on her own now, correct?
Right, she'll be working with.
So we should not be subbing that out in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I would think that all under her responsibility as a bookkeeper. I mean, that's kind of my outlook. I mean, wouldn't that kind of fall under bookkeeping job as your budget?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Did you check with the town attorney? I believe the supervisor.
Yeah, we weren't trying to name another one. I think he was just talking about the money. But my question is, we had a resolution earlier this year that Linda was getting $1,000 to do it, and it was supposed to come out of the 4,000 that you were getting, but it didn't, from what I can see. Colleen cut her a check a few months ago for $1,000. And I think you still got the full stipend, Gene. So I'd like you to look into that to make sure that what was passed at the board level was actually done. Because a few months ago, there was a check on the abstracts for $1,000 for Linda that we signed, but I didn't see where it came out of the stipend that you got.
I think it did, but I will check.
Just, yeah, just to be sure, because I've had a couple people ask me that, so I'd like to.
That was in July, I was out sick, so she had to come and do more of it than I would have done at that time.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about, though. Just the money, I've had a couple of citizens ask me if that was in fact the case, that it did come out of that 4,000 like we passed, and I didn't have an answer for them. So just so I could give them a straight answer, I'd like to know if it did or it didn't.
I'll get that answer for you Monday.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was resolution 101, July 12th. It's passed.
I know I got less of my check, so I'm sure it came out.
Good. I hope so. I'm just saying I don't know what, I'm not gonna answer somebody till I know the answer. So I've had a few people ask me.
Now, that resolution says that was prepared at your request. Is that true?
No, it wasn't. Well, it was my,
I know you
do
wrote
it,
it,
yes, but it was brought up by this board, yes.
Prior to it said
Prior to getting sick? No,
it was passed July 12th.
I was out in July.
I know, but that means it was sent up, draft,
For him.
drafted, whatever the words are, prior to that.
When you say prior to July 12th,
Yeah,
could be the day before.
okay, I don't know.
Doesn't say.
It says requested by supervisor Rolino. I'm just trying to find out that's it.
Well, I was told about it, and I said it was all right.
Okay. So I guess from my perspective, that goes back to the question. Can we just keep the 4,000 in the budget, and not name the person that gets it?
Well, that's part of the job of the supervisor, is the budget.
But I don't think the town is required to pay extra for the budget officer unless so determined that.
It was pay extra. They took it out of my 4,000 salary to give it to Linda to work on.
I don't think that's what he's trying to do.
No, I'm talking about the whole 4,000. I guess I have a question of like,
Okay.
do we have to name the person who gets that money at this meeting? But can we still have it in?
Well, you can have it in there and it can be named for Supervisor Molino. And just as you did last year, part of that can be designated to a consultant at a later date. So I guess I'm not sure if right now you want to have a line item for the budget officer, but not have it designating a person, or if you're saying that you don't want an amount allotted for the budget officer.
I'm the new guy here, but I'm kind of having an advantage because I'm sort of looking from the outside in. Okay, I think we need the 4,000 to be available to hire people, Gene, somebody else, or whatever, to help us with the budget. I just don't know who it is at this point.
I don't think anybody does at this present time.
I suppose, Gene, this is a little bit of a criticism. I don't mean to be, okay, but I just think that this could be a little more user friendly. This document. That's all.
Well, if that was the case, we could discuss it at the agenda meeting, where I should have discussed it before this meeting, so we come up with a solution. I'm budget officer, that's what my title is, and I'm gonna keep the job. And when I need Colleen to help me, then she'll get part of that money, just like we do with Lynn.
I think if you're gonna have the stipend for the budget officer, then it would have to be to the supervisor.
So Gene, you're saying if Colleen helps you with the budget, you're gonna give her some of that $4,000 to help you?
Or anybody else we have to pull in.
Well, it's hard to pull three people in because there's a lot of hook weight. Well, it could be like that. I was hoping this year'd be better, but we're starting off, but we'll move into it. We'll work on it. You want to table this now? Table it.
At the present time, I notice on the sheet, we don't have a FOIL officer. Which
It-
doesn't pay
I'm a
anything.
FOIL.
It's supposed to be Cindy on there.
Okay. I was gonna say, Mike had mentioned that he would like to help or become FOIL officer, because there wasn't a name there. And just to bring that out.
Well, I sent you guys a new one. I didn't put Cindy on there, but it's supposed to be Cindy. It's supposed to be the town clerk.
Can we just
It's supposed to be, or it is? Mike,
I haven't seen anything other than the town clerk in any situation that.
Well, basically, because the records that people are asking for are under the care of the records management
Right, oh, yeah.
officer. Or in other departments that I'm also responsible to know where and how to get a hold of them. 1 year, because I did research this, because a couple of years ago, my office was inundated, and I mean inundated, with FOIL requests that totally overwhelmed my time. And the town attorney became the FOIL officer, even though I still had to come up with the documentation. when he became the officer, some of that stopped. Just, I think by virtue of him being the attorney, I don't know. But, yeah, there's several people who really overwhelm my time with it. I mean, and that is a common theme across New York State with town clerks. It's not just me.
So is the FOIL officer responsible for digging out all the stuff or just designating whether it's a valid request or not and then forward it on to you? Like the lawyer, did he go in the archives and dig everything out or when? he-
No, I had to get the information.
Right.
And then
Gotcha.
he was in charge of,
Getting it back to the
sending
people,
it.
yeah.
And if we went over a period of time that was allotted and you get an extension or I will be here to tell you at that time, I was so overwhelmed that some of that stuff was falling by the wayside. Gene was the appeals officer, then he gets a letter, what's going on, and we have to do a whole bunch of stuff, but, no, the records management officer really has to dig out stuff if it's available.
If you guys, anybody's on board, I would help, I'd like to help you, if you be the FOIL officer, and work with you on that.
Can we just write that in and proceed?
But you would not be the FOIL officer.
I wouldn't,
Well, there's a lot to that. You have to answer people as to when stuff is available, which would then be
probably working with you though,
according to
wouldn't
my workload, and so I don't see that as an efficient machine, but
why not? I'm not arguing, I just want to hear your input. If you had one other person to help you, you couldn't give me the information or anybody to say, okay, Mr. Public, this is where we're at with your thing, or here's your information, or.
well, which is why I had asked Bob Regan, because, he was perfectly familiar with all of the ins and outs of oil, and he and I worked pretty closely. I'm not sure you and I worked all that closely at this point. You worked during the day. And,
I'll tell you, Cindy, we had asked at one point in time during the meeting that anytime there was a FOIL request that we were made known what was requested and stuff like that. And I never heard one thing. I'm sure we had more FOILs after that. That's one of the reasons that I approached these gentlemen about asking them to take that position if they were comfortable with it, is because we'd like to know what's being FOILed. And we never heard one, I never got any kind of communication on any FOILs that were asked, even though we did ask that was the cadence of
well, I
FOIL.
can copy them and put them in your boxes and who's requesting what.
Well, we had already asked that, but I'm just saying that's one of the reasons that we want to know what's being requested, that way we're not bombarded on question and answer time here when, people are hitting us with all this stuff and we have no recollection or even previous knowledge of what's being asked. It's just a matter of being fair to the board to let us know that. And we had previously asked that. And I know you're busy and all that stuff, but
Well, we can certainly provide that. I don't actually remember it being asked, but that doesn't mean anything. That's neither here nor there. But we can certainly make you guys aware of it.
that would be good. Yeah.
I think in a recent meeting,
Well, we let these guys finish talking because we're having 3 conversations here at one time, and I don't think that's fair to the people listening. So if you guys want to talk, go ahead.
Well, there's a lot of things to it, like there's redactions on certain things that people can't see, even the FOIL officer, and that's why attorneys get involved in it. I just don't feel comfortable having somebody on, FOIL problems that occur even at the county. You can get a FOIL, but it could be redacted, half the stuff is blacked out because of, personal information, stuff like that.
And how does that relate to me?
Well, because we'd have an extra person looking at it. A lot of stuff gets out when people see things. I think if we leave it like this is the way we've done it. If you need what's getting foiled, that's no problem. But the answers, that's under the.
right now, it's blank.
Well, we should
Well, it
put
should have
in,
had
but-
Cindy. I just said that. I should have had
Yeah,
Cindy's name in there.
I know, and I keep asking, can we write her name in? And
I'd like to do it, like,
Well, what my question is all I hear from people, not all the time, you only hear the negative, right? You know that in life, but I hear, okay, I foil, I get nothing. I don't get a response, I don't get anything, and I'm not saying that's the case all the time, Cindy, I know you're very busy, but I don't want to hear that all the time because
it's hard to say because that's the law. It has to be.
We're pretty
stuff
good
has to be
about
done
getting
in
back.
30
I'm just
days.
telling you, I'm not saying any,
Mr. Herring has foiled me for several things. Some things I'm out with my broken leg,
Oh, yeah.
which he was aware of. I've since been back in conversation with him. Some things take a lot more research than others.
but shouldn't we be communicating that to these people? Okay, we need an extension or whatever. Mr. Shield, same thing, with all this insurance stuff, he told me he foiled countless things and didn't even get a response.
He is
That's not right.
incorrect.
No,
That
I
is
was
incorrect.
corresponding with him as well as Cindy.
You're talking about Bob Shield.
Correct.
That's incorrect.
Yeah, he comes right in the office and talks to us.
I'm just telling you what I'm told. I'm not saying anybody's right or
Emailing
wrong.
and talking on the phone about stuff, so I
I just
have an
talked to
issue
him
with that.
2-3 days ago. He never said to me.
No, he's never said anything.
No, I know exactly what he was talking about, and he got everything we have. It wasn't necessarily what he thought he was looking for, but it was everything we had.
But you can't change the information. The information is what it is, right? I mean,
I mean, he may
you
have
may not always
said,
get the right answers, but it's the answer that you're getting, right?
I foiled a certain thing and I didn't get anything. That could be because there wasn't anything on it.
We can only get what we have.
We cannot create a document.
I didn't ask that.
No, I know, I'm just saying that's part of that deal.
All I know is, and everybody here has heard it, our foiling seems to be not up to what everybody's happy with. Maybe it's because, like you said, they're not getting the information that they hoped for. But that's the only reason I put mine asked to put in there is because
That is the
Under
case.
foil is when people ask me a question, if that isn't, I've got one right now, this gal wants me to just answer questions for her from me, and that's not asking for a document. Foil is for documents, and if I don't have the exact document that's being asked for, then I don't have it. You can't say, well, I'll give you this, or maybe you'd like this, or by way of explanation, I'll just say this. That's.
But in this case, Cindy, do you go back to her and say, this is not a legitimate foil, sorry, I can't help you, or do we just ignore it?
Usually I get multifaceted foils and I say no document that matches the description of number 2, or I have nothing for number 3, or this is what I've got for number 4. That's kind of.
So there is a return communication, even in this case, when she just asked you a question, you're gonna send her something back and says, I'm sorry, that's not a FOIL request, that's a
This
legal
person
advice.
certainly knows what foil is, so, yeah, no, no.
Oh, you didn't answer my question. I said, in this case, where she just asked you a question, do you return a correspondence and say, this is not a FOIL request, this is a legal advice or something like that?
I usually say I have no document that describes your request in number 1.
If it's legal, I guess I too would like to know if the request is.
I mean, what would need to be redacted, Gene? I thought everything was public except for employee files and stuff like that.
Well, what I'm saying, there's some things that are private that have to be redacted.
Right. And that I'm not privileged to see, is that what you're saying? As a town board member?
Well, I leave it up to the attorney, I'm certain.
Well, you just made the statement 5 minutes ago.
Make the statement, I'm answering the question, I'm trying to answer the question.
You didn't make that statement?
You
You
didn't, if you want to keep pounding on me.
Why do you consider when I ask you a question that I'm hounding you, Gene? You did make the statement. You want to play back the tape? That I couldn't be the FOIL officer because there was so much stuff that needed to be redacted.
There's private stuff in there, I just don't think an extra person should be on it.
You don't think, or I can't? Is it just your opinion, or I'm asking, is it the law or is it your opinion? You're entitled to each, but I'm just saying, you made the bold statement that I wasn't supposed to see this stuff. Is that true, Mike, or no?
It's gonna go case by case.
Mhm.
The exemptions are laid out in the public officers law. I would recommend that the town follow them.
In your opinion, would it be horrible if I was the FOIL officer? Would it be problematic?
I have to research it.
Okay.
Okay, wasn't prepared to answer that question.
Yep.
I don't believe the FOIL officer has to be the town clerk. I've never seen it where it's not the town clerk.
Okay.
Except in larger municipalities that essentially have a FOIL office unto themselves. But I can certainly research that.
I'll withdraw, but I just want to just reiterate the fact that we would like to know what's going on as far as the FOILs go.
I also would like you to research that, Dave, what documents that the town board members do not have privilege to look at.
You would not have the, you wouldn't be authorized to look at somebody's social security number. I would say certain things in a personnel
I can-
record, possibly a hospital record.
I can get a copy of all of the exemptions to disclosure.
Right.
That's in the statute of what information is not in the public domain, may be in a public record. And that public record could be disclosed, but it lists the types of information that should not be in the public domain. That, so in other words, should be redacted, even though the record itself could be a public document. But the statute lists the type of information that should be redacted. And I can provide a copy for all the board members.
Mike, when you say public domain, is the town board considered public domain?
What do you mean?
Are we considered public domain, the town board?
No, it would have to be redacted. So anything, any public record, regardless if you foiled it or someone else foiled it, if it is subject to an exemption, then it would be redacted. So maybe I don't understand the question, but it doesn't.
Well, I think Paul asked, what documents would we not be able to see as a town board? Am I correct, Paul? I don't want to put words in your mouth. And you said something about public domain. So is there a difference between what town board can see, supervisor, whatever, versus public domain?
No, public domain is not a person. It's essentially the scope of information that's publicly available. So for you or for anyone else.
Thank you.
And there's certain information that again would be that might be in a document that would be redacted, whether it was you reviewing it or any other member of the public.
But I don't have any problem putting FOIL requested, the FOIL request in your boxes if you want to see what's being requested.
Well, I think we all would like to see that, Cindy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can't release like medical information. I mean, that's a violation. You can't do that.
That's correct.
Do people foil that stuff? You said hospital reports or something. Do people foil a hospital report for somebody?
Not normally, but that certainly would fall under unknown.
Which I don't see how
Which you wouldn't provide anyway, so that would take that part of not being able to see it off the
Exactly,
table
that's where I
anyways.
was going with that.
Yeah,
But even some personal information.
I guess I'd be comfortable with it as long as I know we're notified that something was requested.
All right, can we move on and put Cindy as the FOIL officer right now? And down the road, if we want to change it, we will. So we can move on and get this finished up.
Okay, so we have O'Neill and Lewandowski. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 4 of 2022, that Fitzgerald, Morris, Baker first be appointed as attorneys for the town at $36,000 annually. And then including services for zoning and planning board and with additional provisions for billing outside at an hourly rate for outside scope of retainer salary. That's blank because I don't know what that's supposed to be.
And I don't know what that would be, aside from whatever was submitted by John in the in response to the RFP. So whatever that rate was, it would not have changed.
Well, if you can find it, because last year it was, the previous attorney, $90 outside scope of work per hour.
So can we do this?
Can we break it down to where we just do the first part, Lori, this way here, we're not authorizing, and no disrespect, Mike, but like a blank check. And if we say the first part here, then we can always do a quick resolution in January's meeting to go along there and include the other, whatever their company needs to fill out at. This way here, we're not leaving it blank or no.
Or could we put in there as per the RFP that we got, because obviously we accepted that, and that would be per the document that was submitted,
That would be fine.
whatever,
Either way.
whatever, I'm just throwing different ideas out like Dave, I'm not saying that's the
Either
thing to
way,
do, but that would be able to cover that.
That's, that amount is in the RFP, it is in their proposal.
What's that?
That was in
That
their
hourly
proposal.
amount is in the proposal.
That was in their proposal. Now,
So the issue is we just don't have it in front of us.
I don't have it with me.
if that's right with you, Mike, I just, I don't want to, yeah, and no disrespect again, I don't want to have any, carte blanche where you put $1,000 an hour in there. Not that you guys would, right? But, the same token, we put $1 an hour in there, Understood, and I don't want to give you the information that was something different than what. Correct. You already reviewed and accepted, so I can either find that information and circle back and provide it, or you can accept it as the amount that was referred in that RFP response.
Okay, but we do have something in that RFP, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I would feel comfortable doing that, or if you would talk it over with your office, that's fine. I just want to make sure that it's got something in that point, that's all. Whichever you guys feel more comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable referring to the number that was presented and accepted.
Okay.
But if you'd like to have the specific number, it's that I can easily grab that by Monday and get it on for January's agenda as well.
That's fine, it's in the record someplace, then, but,
Correct.
as long as that's what we're gonna do, that I don't have a problem with that.
So are we saying as per RFP
Yes,
previously submitted?
yes. As long as everybody's in agreement with it,
I am.
So
Me too.
So somebody.
That historically, in the last 2-3 meetings, it's been $90. And we did not know if that was a correct figure, that's why we took it off. Apparently that was fine with the previous.
it worked, generated discussion.
Right.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, resolution 5 of 2022, the following appointments be made and budgeted salaries be set. Constable, court officer, we don't have, but there's, in the budget, there's $5,000. Court clerk, Melissa Janier, $20,600. Crossing guard is not budgeted this year. Animal control officer, Brett Moulton, $8,240.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Can we have discussion on that, please? Number one, we shouldn't have court officer written on there. Remember, we talked about that. That has to come, that's through the court system of New York State to identify somebody as a court officer. So that's definitely
So-
not appropriate on there.
Okay.
And we also talked about at the last meeting, annual salary of $5,000 is what, about $80 a week? Or something like that. So we talked about maybe looking at that differently when we came up with the job description, and yeah, it's $96 a week, that $5,000 before taxes. So I know, Gene, you said you were gonna think about it. We talked about it, and I don't know if that's the right number or not.
Can we add to that?
You can add to it if you like, but the reason I left it like that, we don't have one. We gotta put in our RFP, so if we're gonna put an RFP out, we gotta start with a salary that we'll discuss when we have our reorganization. Right now, this is in the budget, and the budget's passed. You can add to it, or you can even take away. But
Yeah, I'm just saying if we're,
change is somebody, you might have somebody that say they want 6,000, or, you know, they're applied for a $6,000 job, or, you know.
Now, before we put that out, we have to come up with a job description.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
Job description.
We have,
Because I'm
working on it.
Because I don't think you're gonna get anybody.
Yeah, I-
Do a $96 an hour.
yeah, I don't care what job description you come up with. I don't think we're gonna get the right person at $96 a week. I really don't. I don't think that's nearly enough in there, you know.
This is just court officer.
No, it's constable, which can include the court duty. You can't call him a court officer because that's only a designation
Just
given.
duties to the court.
Will the RFP advertise an amount? Salary amount?
You can, and I think from what, as I understood, what you did historically, or the previous time was, there was an advertisement that was posted on the website.
Correct.
And that's what generated the response, and that, that language can, you know, you can repost it on the website, you can advertise it in paper, you can
So that
do
would
it
be
in
the
RFP.
language of the local law.
and send it out to individuals, or even, you know, companies that would be able to provide a service, or anything else that,
What would be the process to change this number if we pass it at that 5,000 today, Mike? Is it cumbersome?
you know, I don't know. You know, I guess we can check with Colleen and Association for Towns to see if changing that salary may be again, similar to what we did with Ron to correct his.
That's what I was just gonna say. It was a whole new meeting and law and all that public
Right, so
hearing.
there could be some steps involved, but I don't think it would be cumbersome.
So I'm not sure if I got an answer. When we advertised, did we advertise a salary?
No.
No. Okay.
We don't have to.
But what I was getting is if we're going to advertise, wouldn't we have to approve the salary before we would advertise it?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Not unless we don't, if we don't advertise one, we wouldn't have to. But why wouldn't you want to? If you're gonna put a list of everything that you're asking, it's not negotiable, right? The guy's not gonna come in and say, well, I want this to do this. Aren't we putting out a job description and what we're willing to pay for that job?
Right, it'd be a set price.
Right.
You're on a salary, so.
Yeah, if you don't put a salary in there, that would lead me to believe if I'm gonna apply for that job, that I'm gonna come in and negotiate my salary with Gene or the board or whoever. That's really not the case.
Right. We're setting the amount. This is what
I would think,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think we're all kind of in agreement. That's too low, right?
I would, yeah,
I
I
was
am.
gonna say that that's too low. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my own 2 cents.
And I would tend to agree with Mike that we'll get applicants faster if they know what they're gonna get paid, and we'll also not get the applicants that we wouldn't end up hiring anyways.
Right.
So that's sounds like we gotta work on that number.
Like if we change this to X, say we put in, I don't know, just throwing out a number 20, but we didn't want to pay that much, would he have to pay that much or could we pay less? Without doing the whole law thing and all that stuff again too.
So you're saying if you wanted to have a line item for a constable, and you want it to be, for example, 20,000 instead of 5,000.
Yep.
And right now, since you don't have somebody that actually fills it, saying, would you have to offer that as like kind of a base salary? Right?
Mhm.
And no, I don't believe that you would. I'm not sure what you have to go through in order to change that number.
Well, the whole problem at the present time, that's been budgeted.
Correct. Right, you already decided on that number. And that
That's
is
correct.
And so I'd have to look into, now you want to amend it, which you certainly can do. But for the, I guess, the steps to raise it and then use that as kind of the ceiling. and see if you can then find with that as a ceiling amount, I think you're asking, could we find somebody underneath that ceiling? Right? And not use up the entire budgeted line.
So in other words, past this now, with the understanding we're gonna have to real soon revisit how much more it should be and then go
No.
through the hoops to.
That's not what I said. I meant, say we put 20 in there, like Mike said, could we aim high, shoot low? Kind of thing. Put more money in here, so that way we don't have to have an act of Congress to pay somebody more than $5,000, but do we need an act of Congress to pay them less than what we put in here? Is basically what I was trying to get.
So are you saying change the 5 right now?
Yes,
Yeah,
Okay,
but I just don't know what that number is, but
but there's no.
But if it's the same process to pay somebody less as it is to pay somebody more, then it makes no difference. We'll still have to go through the same.
I was gonna say, if we
Thing.
budgeted for, let's just say, argument's sake, 20,000, there's no law saying that we have to pay
Right.
that 20,000.
But what I'm thinking is we'll be able to,
Says, hey, I'll do it for $1,000 a month, okay, God bless.
but don't forget, we want to advertise the pay with the job description. So can we advertise 20 grand if there's only 5,000 allocated on this document?
yeah, that's the key question, I guess.
Right, you don't have to advertise the pay.
No, I
think
know,
We all think we
but we
should.
think we should.
But at the same time, this resolution says budgeted salaries are set.
Right. Do we have the authority to just cross off this 5 grand and put 20 grand in there right now? We don't do
You have
it.
to amend this budget.
Right.
Yeah.
First, you have to amend the budget, and then you have to put a resolution and take some money out of surplus funds to put it in there, because right now, all it is budgeted through the taxpayers paying 5,000. We'll have to take out, you wanted to make it 20, that means you'd have to make a resolution to take 15,000 out of surplus
Move it into that.
funds and move it into the budget.
That's why I'm kind of thinking maybe we pass this as is with the understanding when we got to work real fast on that resolution.
You know, because you can, even if somebody comes in and say they want 10 or 15, then we still have to make a resolution.
Pay more.
Take
Make
it out
the
of
adjustment.
surplus funds and put it in here to be able to pay the salary. Which way do you want to go? You wanna
Well, I'm just asking questions. I'm a,
Either way, we have to go along there and the budget.
yeah, no matter what, it's the same.
Let us leave it like it
I
is.
just don't want it to hinder us being able to advertise the job is really why I was asking the question.
Can we take, Mike, and have this put on the agenda meeting for Monday night? This way here, we're kind of, just kind of putting the cart before the horse a little bit on our end right now.
Yeah.
But if we address it on Monday night, we should have an answer, in theory, the following Monday, correct?
Yep.
And then we can go along there and advertise it, and hopefully still get somebody who could jerk around. Next thing you know, it's February and March. You know, I would think sooner the better on it, get the, kind of wipe off our chalkboard.
Yeah.
So would you guys be in favor of going on there and doing it for the 5,000 and then amending it on Monday night to get it on the agenda? So
Yep.
the following Monday, we can get it up to the 20?
Yeah, I think so, because we got the court clerk and the animal officer to consider today.
Well, don't we have another problem that we just kind of created, because our next agenda meeting technically isn't until the end of the month.
No, this
No,
is Monday.
It's Monday.
For this month, it'll be
For this month,
Monday.
it's Monday.
In the future, it will be.
At 6 or at 7?
That's
Seven.
Seven.
Okay,
That's up, but it starts this Monday and then we're
Okay.
passing now,
Okay.
we'll actually take it.
okay,
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lori, did anybody make a motion?
Yeah, the motion was made and seconded. Yes, and then any more discussion? Okay, so all in favor,
Aye.
opposed?
Like, can you slide that on the agenda meeting for us, please, for Monday evening?
I have a note
Thank
for
you.
that. Okay. Resolution 6 of 2022, the following salaries for elected officials be paid on a bi-weekly basis by Wednesday. Supervisor, 32,960. Town clerk, tax collector, 40,170. Highway superintendent, 58,401. Town justices, 2 at 14,523. Councilman, 4 at 7,210.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any
I have a very brief discussion.
Okay.
I'm hoping that next time we do this, procedures will be consistent. What I found when I'm reviewing this is some items went up 3%, some stipends went up 3%, some didn't go up 3%, some went up a different percent. To me, a lot of that, there was no obvious logic. But I am in favor of this as it is.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 7 of 2022, the following appointments be made. Chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Matthew Halledge. Chairman of the Planning Board, John Karinsky. Kyle McMahon as a member of the Planning Board for a 7-year term, and Burgess Ovitt as member of Zoning Board of Appeals for a 5-year term. So Kyle McMahon is a reappointment, and Burgess Ovitt was an alternate who will be going on to the board since Jim has resigned from the board.
Nobody objects. I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 8 of 2022, that the supervisor is authorized to approve bond anticipate, yeah.
Really?
Anticipation, I can't even say it. Note renewals as they come due. The town clerk is authorized to maintain a bank of $100 throughout the year. The collector is authorized to maintain a $100 bank throughout the year for collection of water rents and town and county taxes, and the supervisor is authorized to maintain a $25 bank for purposes of water meter replacement parts.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Resolution 9 of 2022, that the transfer station attendant maintain a $130 bank throughout the year. To compensate planning and zoning board of appeals members $25 per meeting attended. And then to state the official mileage for reimbursement, you guys need to decide that. It's currently 50 and the federal rate is 56. Just for a little information.
I'd like to bring that up to 55 cents.
I'll second
All in favor?
it.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Resolution 10 of 2022, that the town board adopt the current code of ethics policy for 2022, that the town board adopt the current procurement policy for 2022, that the town board adopt an investment policy for 2022 as follows: certificates of deposit. That the town adopt the present drug and alcohol policy for 2022, that the town adopt the present workplace violence policy for 2022. That the town board adopt the current employee procedure policy for 2022. And that the state mandated audit of financial record keeping of the officials of the town court, town clerk, collector, office of the supervisor be set for January. You guys can pick a date prior to the 20th. And a time, actually. Usually during the day.
What I'm saying, it has to be during the day.
Usually
So
during
it's
the day.
gonna be- That's right. Just want to check.
I don't know the implications, so I'll go with the flow.
Yeah,
So we
Gina,
gotta pick a date on there.
you looking for a date?
Okay, prior to the 20th is on a Thursday. That'll be the third Thursday of the month. The 17th is Martin Luther King Day. So it leaves pretty much 2 weeks.
What about the 19th or the 18th?
Yeah, or the 18th or 19th, yep.
Does that involve a bunch of your time?
Yes.
What day is better for you?
During January?
Well, where doesn't it fall on a payroll week for you girls? Because Colleen's also gonna have to be involved in this too.
Yeah.
So this
all
way
right.
here, if it doesn't fall on a payroll week, that's gonna make it a little bit easier for everybody, I think.
Probably the 18th would be the best.
What day of the week is that?
That's on a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it's
Payroll's
or
done.
Wednesday, and then that involves them too.
Yeah, but the 17th is a holiday.
Yeah.
So whatever she would have done on the 17th is gonna fall onto the 8th, I would assume, correct?
Let me see. So we get paid this week. Let me get my calendar.
Okay, so if you get paid, let's just say this week here, that's.
So
we got
Monday
the-
is payroll.
Okay, so then the 17th, so the 18th would be her next payroll.
That's a payroll.
About the 11th.
That
Can
would
we
be
go
on
more
Tuesday.
towards the end of the week?
Is that better for you girls toward the end of the week?
Yeah, Mondays and Tuesdays are pretty tough this time of year.
So 19 or 20.
What,
No,
Yeah,
Ken?
It has to be before the 20th.
13th.
Oh,
13, 14?
I'm just throwing a day.
Yeah, no, whatever you guys.
It's the 19th.
The 19th is on a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
She'd be done with payroll.
If you did it in the afternoon, the court. you know, usually they're not all day.
Right.
Later
And she would be done
What's the
with
court date?
payroll,
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
and she'd have the previous, Colleen would have the previous week to get her stuff together to be ready. So you could technically go during that 18th, 19th, or 20th.
But the
Not the
18th,
19th, that's court day.
right, and then Tuesday is when the girl has to do payroll, because the 17th is a holiday.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is she could get her stuff ready the previous week if she wanted to. I mean, that's up to you guys, whatever you want to do. I'm just throwing that out.
Oh, I'm just trying to make it easy for you guys. I mean, I know payroll is a hit, then you got the courts. So, I mean,
Why not the week before?
if you go on the 19th, you got no fudge.
I can't do the 19th, that's court day.
okay, so figure the 13th or the 14th, that's
Okay.
during the end of a payroll week or week without any payroll. for
Right.
her. Because if you hit it on the 17th, you got that holiday, so she'll be doing it on the 18th, the 19th is court.
Mhm.
The following, the previous week, she doesn't have payroll. So if you figure like the 13th or the 14th, that's the end of the week for you ladies. To where hopefully it's not gonna be as slammed as Mondays and Tuesdays.
Right.
That's a-
So
That's-
the 13th or 14th, whichever one you guys want. But I got that far, so you guys know.
Good job, David.
Thank you.
You feel impressed?
Not really. And feeling a little hungry, it's right around time.
He's telling you tonight.
So
Huh?
Let's do the 13th
13th.
at 1 o'clock.
there you go, 13th at 1 o'clock.
So Jim, are you making that?
I just made that motion.
Okay. Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Sure.
Opposed? Okay, I got a text from Colleen. She had her hand raised.
Well, Jean told me there's no public comment, so I didn't know if we
Well,
could
she's
put her in
part
there.
of- I would say, she's,
Not really.
Well, that's-
Well, what did she have?
I don't know. She just said I have my.
Hold on, you want me to turn her on?
Let's see what you.
I mean, she's-
Go ahead, Kyle.
I just wanted to confirm that the $1,000 was taken out of Gene's payroll. His paycheck was decreased, right after the resolution was made to pay Linda the $1,000. That money was removed from his payroll. He did not receive that $1,000.
Awesome.
I know that was earlier.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
You're welcome.
All right, let's move on. Finish this one up.
You bet.
Okay, resolution 11 of 2020.
We finally made this one for the 10th.
The 13th.
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 at 1 o'clock.
We
Yeah.
approved it, right?
Yes,
Yep.
Feel up.
That's a Thursday.
yes, it is.
Okay, resolution 11 of 2022, that the town of Lake Luzerne attorney prepare a professional services agreement for the year 2022 with Cedarwood as the town engineering firm and Tracy Clovier as the grant writer.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Clerk, we have discussion on it.
Oh, sorry.
Just Cedarwood, I mean, shouldn't we get an engineer that is familiar and has capability to do something with the dam? I mean, these guys had no input as far as I was told that they have no dam experience or no dam capabilities. Should we, what about the one that we're using now to come in here and do that stuff? Would they be the ones to help us out with that?
We can put a thing out to them.
I think it would be good to have some, that we don't have to worry about it. You know, that every year they're gonna come and do that and, you know, the annual certification and stuff that, you know, slips through the cracks. And before you know it, like we're
Yeah.
8 years behind or whatever, you know?
Good point.
They have no dam experience at all. And we're using the other engineer right now to help us get the water department up to speed. So, I mean, if we're embedded with them, I think the least we could do is have them as our go-to person for what we need to do.
Who's still in the water department work?
I can't think of the name of them right now. But
Is it the guy who did the deal? Jason?
Yes.
That's one doing the dam.
And they're
yeah,
doing a lot.
Chazen, yeah, and they're really good from what I was told too. So, I mean, I think we should table that one, my opinion, and look to get somebody that is all encompassing for everything that we need.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because I'm sure that when they came down here to do that inspection, to look out for the town, I'm sure that wasn't a, hey, don't worry about it, buy me a.
No, it was $39,000.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
No,
I would like to only table half of it if we could. Because we're right in the middle of putting the milfoil RFP together, so I think get Tracy back on board.
can we do that?
Yeah, you can approve for just Tracy.
I'll make a motion, we approve Tracy and table the engineer per RFP of somebody that can serve all our needs.
I'll second that one. It's a good idea. What time do you hear from more than that, right?
Yeah, I'm the Zoom guy.
All in favor?
I'm the Zoom guy.
I,
Opposed? Hearing none carried. That's all we have for resolutions.
Motion we adjourn.
I'd like to have Mike possibly get some stuff prepared for the agenda meeting. In regards to a resolution, we ran into a problem this week in regards to check signing. That we have 3 people that are able to sign checks. But the 2 resolutions, one contradicts the other one in regards to Colleen signing the check. And myself, plus some other board members would like to see, that's not a problem with Colleen signing it. But at the same time, the only time she's able to sign it is if one of the other 2 people are absent and it is approved by the board.
I think that's a good, I'd second that motion.
Huh?
I'd second that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you see what the emergency we ran into. It just happened.
Right.
Exactly.
It's gotta be done, and at the same time, it's protection, you know, that,
Well, we had given
This
her
is a
permission
good-
to sign checks and then the resolution.
Right.
came up that she can't.
there was a conflict in the way the resolutions
We're done.
were done.
So we can work on that. So we should have 3 people.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get the resolutions that are in conflict and then see if we can,
We'll cancel that one. and-
right, set something that,
Yeah, we gotta cancel it and then put the additional thing in there in regards that if Colleen has to sign, she's gotta get via email or
Where's confirmation?
written confirmation from the board members that she's gonna be doing signing of the checks. The 3rd person.
So would we be sending those over to?
let me take a look at how they conflict. And then I think, depending on that, probably a resolution that amends, you know, partially amends, partially rescinds, and.
We're gonna work on it, so
Yeah.
I need to get you those 2.
Yeah, if you
resolutions. Okay.
I'll second Dave's motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Attaboy, Mike.
All in
Thanks for playing
favor?
game.
Aye.